All right. Hi, guys. I am Jenna, if you don't know me already. And this is a little bit of a webinar series that I put together. I wanted to talk to different experts about different things for people who are DIYing for their business or kind of on a lower budget. And that's really what we're here from the design side because there's so many facets that you should know going into that. So I am here with the lovely Alyssa. And I'm going to jump into her bio. And I read bios because I do not know them by heart. I'm just going to throw that out there. And so we're going to do that before we hand it over to her. All right. So our lovely guest today writes, I'm not that different from you. My background is nowhere near where I've ended up. Once upon a time, I was a medical and computer science nerd. And for you and I to end up here together is kismet, karma, or fate. Whatever you'd like to call it, but this is my passion. My raison d'etre. Is that French?
French. It's like raison, like, you know, like your thing. It's like my thing.
Okay, my thing, my jam. All right. Yeah. I thrive creating amazing things with awesome women like you. I'm busy, mom of 4, little ones, wife of a superhero, and I'm a goddess of design. Aren't we all? I love it. More than that, I'm living proof that you can be and do absolutely anything you want. You might call me a restless soul working to live the life I love. And I love that because why else do we do what we do, right?
Exactly. It was when I started this business, I was blown away that I could work doing something I loved. I didn't think that was possible because no one, you always get told like you have to go to school, you have to do this, you have to have a low paying job and work your way up. You don't have to. You can do whatever you want.
Where there's a will, there's a way is what I like to say.
Absolutely.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Okay, so I didn't mention it before. I kind of skimmed over it, but this is particularly, and I believe this is your clientele too, Alyssa. So this kind of tends to hone in on small businesses and solopreneur women.
Yeah.
So this is who this helps. And I am of the owner of Blue Louie Studio. So I'm a designer as well. So it's really great to be able to collaborate from designer to designer.
I love it.
Offer that information. So having said that, this webinar in particular is about copyrights and licenses. Do you own the photos that you're utilizing? Do you own the fonts that you're utilizing? And what does that mean? That's something that everybody needs to know about. And so that's why this is really important. I'm going to hand it over to you, Alyssa, and she is going to break it down for you guys. So go ahead and take the stage.
Awesome.
About it.
Question I forgot to ask you earlier. Can you give me permission to share? Can I share my
Absolutely.
screen?
Yes.
Perfect.
Yes.
Okay. So first, hi. I'm a designer. I'm a web designer and a graphic designer. I love working with women, like you said, in small businesses, usually solo womenpreneurs or solopreneurs. But a lot of people don't know the back end, like the legal stuff. Where can I use these images? Where like I can just get them from Google, right? No, you can't. And I didn't know this either years ago. It's something that I think we're all learning. Like we don't know it until we know it, and we have to figure it out. And whether that's us teaching you today or you're learning in a different way. But I'm going to go over a few key things, and at the end, Jenna, I've got a freebie, a giveaway. I've got a PDF of my go-to secret stash of images, I call it. So
wonderful.
They're commercial friendly. Some are even logo use friendly, which I'll explain why logo is different than just commercial use. Yeah, and I'll give that to you and you can send it out later.
Perfect.
Okay, so I'm going to jump right in. We'll start with Google, I think. I'm going to share my screen. Let me just go to Google, make sure that I've got that page open. Okay, can you see my screen?
I can.
Okay, perfect. So when you are searching for an image or something and you type in I don't know, what do you want to search for? Let's just say birthday party. We're going to have a party or something and we want to, or use some sort of birthday party image in part of our Facebook graphics or something. You can't just go to, Google, type in birthday party and use any of these images. That's risky. I actually know some people that they know the rule and they do it anyway. But it's so risky. I've heard also many times where the owners of these pictures, because you don't know where they're coming from, they could be these big companies, you have no idea. There's a way to search for where your images are being used, and if they find their image being used in an unauthorized way, they can come after you with legal action and, you know, sue you and all that. So there's a number of ways to get really good images and not always paid. You can still get them for free. With Google, correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe that this is one way. If you go under search tools, usage rights, and labeled for reuse, that'll narrow down your picture search, and theoretically, these are now available for your use. They're not just all the pictures on Google, but they're labeled for reuse. So that's one way to get Google images that you want to use. I also have, go ahead.
It's okay. I'm going to jump in here and say that, you know, and a lot of where it narrows down this search, a lot of these are like home pictures and pictures that people have taken, and they're not these, you know, extravagant photo shoots that companies have set up and put rights and protections behind. So sure.
And I've got my list here. I use images all the time. So on my, you know, browser, I have all these sources that I've got, and that's what's in the list that I'll send you later.
Okay.
My favorite that I love to go to that's free is Pixabay, and you can search any image, and I mean, there's always different websites that have more images and a larger pool that you can get to. Like Shutterstock.com is huge and beautiful, but each photo is about $10 to $25 per image.
Yeah, same with iStock. You know, it gets pricey.
It totally gets pricey. So Pixabay has a smaller pool, but it's free, and they're good for commercial use. So they're free, but it's just a smaller pool. So you have to be more, you know, just like, what's the word? You have to be really narrow in on what you're looking for.
Specific.
Be specific. That's the right word. Okay. There's also, again, these will all be in that PDF, but there's Upsplash, again, free images, smaller pool of images, but still beautiful. Like there's some of these really beautiful striking images, just depends on what you're going to use them for.
Now, so if you say I go in and I really like, you know, this top or this bottom image, I download it. Do I have the rights to reuse that then?
Yeah. From this particular website, you can use it wherever you like.
Very cool.
The only key is logos. So basically everything I'm saying here does not pertain to logos. We're going to go to logos separately. These are images for, you know, if you want to have a background on your website, if you want to use graphics for social media posts or Facebook advertisements, stuff like that, not logos. And the reason logos are different is because, well, A, you want your logo to be custom, right? You don't want this big pile of pictures that everyone could take from, and I want anyone's logo, right?
Right.
And then especially if you're going to trademark your logo, not everyone does. I haven't trademarked my logo, but if you do trademark your logo, it has to be custom or unique. It cannot be from a picture or a graphic from one of these places. So
yeah, and that goes into, and the logo part aside, that kind of goes into licensing, which is one of the topics here in terms of like individual and extended. So
yes, we'll go into that in a second. Yeah. So I will jump right in there. I'll jump in there. My favorite website that I love to go to is creativemarket.com.
Oh, they're my favorite. I live there.
I know. There's fonts, there's graphics, it's so beautiful.
They have everything.
I live on the fonts page is basically where I love to go. So Creative Market I don't know if you know, they just updated their licenses. They were simple, and now they've got standard and extended. So they've got 2 licenses now.
Yes.
But, that's actually the way they've restructured their licenses is really good for anyone who's building a website. And I'll tell you why. I'm going to click in onto one of these just so I can find the licenses. See, I've already downloaded this one. That's hilarious. I'm not going to find it. I'm trying to find the license. There we are. Nope, I lied. You'd think their licenses would be right on the menu somewhere.
In terms of...
I'm just going to go into the details and where they've got the frequent questions. So the difference between licenses is typically the standard license is basically what you'll get all the time. Something extraordinary is happening and you put a graphic on, let's say you're building, like you sell coffee mugs or something with graphics on them. If you're selling that product that has that graphic on it, thousands of people, then you'll need the extended license.
Mm-hmm.
For, typical businesses, the standard license is what you'll use. And what I love about the standard license now is for fonts. Now, fonts come in a variety. They either can be public, private, or personal, I guess, commercial use, or web font. There's all these different licenses. So as a business owner, I don't have any personal use fonts on my computer, just in case, just to make sure that I don't accidentally use a personal use font. So I don't download them at all. I stick to the commercial and the public fonts. Now, the way that Creative Market has restructured is that they have allowed, in that standard license, all the fonts are available to use on the web. So you don't have to have the web font specifically. You can upload it onto your website and use it on your web. Before that, you had to kind of work around it and use that font in a graphic first. You couldn't just upload it on your website. So if you get a font from Creative Market, it's going to be just fine for your website, which is, as a web designer, it's like safety. It just saves so much work.
Yeah, so I want to jump in there real quick and say that for anyone who's kind of confused or not following this, as Alyssa mentioned, there are two separate kinds of fonts. One you need for web, right? And one for standard. And so now Creative Market has that extra web font. And I know I'm repeating what she's saying, but I just want to break it down a little more.
It is totally confusing. And it took months and months to figure out, and reading all these licenses really closely and figuring out what can you use, what can I not use. So exactly. And what it means on the DIY side, or for someone who's not the designer or who's working for a designer, that means that now that you have that web font, before, what you would have to do is pay your designer to make an extra graphic with your font in it, almost like a picture. And then that picture was uploaded to the website, right? And it was customized that way. So it makes it much, much, much easier now. So keep going. That's awesome. I'm going to show you. So dafont.com, DAFONT.com is, I used to use this more frequently before I went to Creative Market, before I found that beautiful site. This site is great because it's very specific and, free for personal use. So the font is only for personal use. You always look onto the definition of the license. But you can search, script fonts, retro fonts, LCD, sci-fi. There's all these different fonts that if you don't really know what you're looking for, really good that they broke them down into categories, and they're very specific on commercial, personal, public, whatever. I am going to teach one teeny little thing really quick with web fonts. And I don't know, the uploading web fonts to your website is confusing. Confusing to me. So what I found is there's a plugin, again, and this is only for WordPress users, but Use Any Font is a plugin. You can just search it, Use Any Font plugin, and it's the very first one that comes up. This will allow you to upload any font that you own onto your web. So it doesn't have to be the specific web font. And now for legalities, you still want to make sure you own the license for the web font, the license that says you can use this for your website, because that's just being ethical and following the law.
Right.
But again, you don't have to know how do I upload a web specific font? This will upload any font that you have.
Oh, I love that. What a great find. Thank you for showing that.
I love that one. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's kind of like back when they would say there's an app for everything, right? Now there's a plugin
for everything.
Right.
Totally.
So can you kind of touch on the difference between a free font and buying a font? And this might actually go back to what you were saying about using photos in your logo, kind of the roadway to custom, and making sure that everything is under your name because you've purchased it.
Right. My kids just got home. So if you hear some noise in the background, that's my kids. They just got home from dance class.
Aw.
Okay, but the door's closed, which is the beauty part of having an office.
Yes.
So if you have can you repeat the question in a different way?
Yeah. So, what is the difference between going to dafont.com and claiming one of those fonts for my branding versus actually going to Creative Market, purchasing a font, and then using that everywhere in my branding, maintaining the custom side of it and maintaining the legality side of it in terms of licensing?
Yeah. Okay. So DeFont has a lot of fonts. They also include fonts I think that are used a lot. They're not custom hand drawn and whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
Creative Market is more custom, and people are actually creating these fonts, and they're
Mm-hmm.
beautiful. Um, they can still be purchased from by more than one person, unless you hire a designer specifically to create a font for you.
Mm-hmm.
The font will still be available for purchase for other people. But once you purchase the font for you, you can use that font in any graphics you want. Like now you can upload on your website if it's from Creative Market and you have that web license.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I I would actually say the idea is the same because you can purchase fonts from DeFont.
Mm-hmm.
You also want to be careful because not be careful but pay attention to the license. So this says you can still see my screen, I think, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so this one says personal use only or free for personal use.
Mm-hmm.
But if you do want a commercial license, you can go here.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
yeah, so this one you can use for free, and if you want to use it for commercial, you can go there. And I will say, like, what the heck is commercial? What does that even mean? If I just want to make it pretty on my Facebook page, that's not commercial, is it? It's
Mm-hmm.
commercial. Anything that you're selling, anything that you're using to find clients, anything that you are, whether it's a product you're selling and it's in that product, or whether it's just something that's advertising that you're not actually selling, but you're just using it for advertising, it's still commercial use.
Yes.
So anything from like your website, anything on your website is commercial use, business card fonts, your logo fonts, all of those are going to be commercial use, which is why in like my choice is to just not even download personal fonts because
Mm-hmm.
it's just safer all around.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Um, and I sent this tip onto Facebook the other day. If you are looking for fonts and you're like, I don't have money to hire a designer for a logo,
Mm-hmm.
how do I even do a font logo? Like, I don't have any clue. What I love about Creative Market is that you can search by popular or by most recent. And if you search by popularity, sorry, my baby's crying in the background.
Okay.
If you search by popularity, you can see that there's a lot of fonts here that are being, more downloaded, more purchased.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I recommend using some of these fonts in a logo if you're just working on a text-only logo with your name or something,
Mm-hmm.
because it's not going to be overused like Times New Roman,
Mm-hmm.
Papyrus, or Comic Sans. Those are all overused fonts that have been on, they're on every computer that has ever existed.
Right.
Getting these like custom fonts, they're searched by popular. They're people like them obviously, and I think not that you want to follow the trends and copycat because you don't want to do that, but there's definitely a style of the time, and it always changes.
Sure.
But right now these are popular, and so why not use them?
Yeah.
So
So
that's
that's
off topic there, but fonts
yeah.
is
So
my jam. I love fonts.
that's two really good points here is know the licensing,
Yeah.
and if it's something that's going to fall under your brand, really go with custom.
Yes.
I certainly don't want to deter anybody away from working with a designer, but I know what it's like to be on that budget, and I know what it's like to be on the DIY side of things.
Totally.
So, those are some important things to know. The difference I will say about DeFont and Creative Market is I think you have some really great stuff on DeFont. I'm not gonna lie, there's really great display fonts and scripts and stuff. It's really
you can't. Creative Market is just above and beyond, right?
Right. Well, what I'm saying is DeFont itself is good for inspiration. But what I was going to say is that Creative Market actually, so these are actual people who make these.
Yep.
And a lot of times people will have kind of like their own store on Creative Market. So if you find a photo on Creative Market, more times than not, there'll be more photos by that same artist. And so that's a good way to maintain, brand consistency and making sure your style is the same too. So,
I love that. That's a great point.
Mm-hmm.
Similarly, I'm going to hop on to Etsy. And I think Etsy is a very underused source for design.
Absolutely.
And, there are fonts on Etsy. That's not what I use Etsy for. What I use Etsy for is graphics. And so if you go on to like a stock photo site, it'll say almost always like these cannot be used in a logo, or this, if it's trademarked, it cannot be used in a logo. It'll say that in particular. But Etsy shops also define their terms and conditions or their licensing. And if you search, let's say, a balloon graphic, I'm going to add in there commercial use, because you can type in commercial use and it'll specify. If you type in there balloon graphic commercial use, I don't know why you would want a hot air balloon graphic, but let's say you did.
Yes.
You can go into, and I'm not saying that this particular one is the one that we would use, but I'm going to show you what you're looking for. What you're looking for is, first of all, it says commercial use. That's great. That means you can use it in, your business card, your Facebook graphics, your website. But if we're wanting to use it in a logo, we just have to look at their shop policies and whether or not they'll say, can or can't use in a logo. So what I do is I just literally search Control F, so Control Find, and I type logo. So there's nothing about logos on that front page, and I go into their shop policies and do the same thing. Search for a logo. So it says, don't use the files to create a logo, banner, avatar. So it says specifically what you can't do. If you find that, you're out of luck for that one, but this is what you're looking for. You want to go into their shop policies and look at their licenses and whether or not they allow you to use it for logos or not, graphics or not. So that's what you're looking for. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. And I love that you mentioned Etsy, because there's a couple points here. One is it is underutilized, and you don't think about it when you think, oh my gosh, where do I go to get this stuff? And the other thing is that I really like to support other small businesses and shop small, because that's where you are. So support your fellow woman or man, and that's what Etsy really cultivates. And so I think that's a really great resource, and I would build that into your go-to list.
Yeah, it is in my go-to list for sure. My digital paper is actually one of the place I go for digital paper is Etsy.
Yeah.
And now, what is digital paper? It's great for backgrounds, accents. So you can search by color or whatnot, but there's everything from, soccer ball graphics to these like geometrics, gold, and like there's so many different digital papers. Like if I search for digital paper commercial use, 26,000 results come up. So this
you can search for days.
Literally, you can search anything.
Yeah, and digital paper is actually a really good alternate. Obviously, it comes in a pack. More times than not, you'll get like some, a pack that's consistent and cohesive, and that's a really great way to fill in blank spots on your website. You know what I mean?
Oh my gosh, like totally. Like look at this. So on this one, if your color scheme is, this orange and teal, how perfect is this? It's consistent with the coloring, but it's also giving you some different style, and it's not boring, right?
Absolutely, right.
Yeah, they're all cohesive together, so you can use any of them, and you won't go wrong with it.
Yes, and going back to budget, I mean, look at the budget there. It's
$1.40
really great.
It's like
cannot beat it.
Totally.
You can't beat it. Other than going to the store and buying your own paper, scanning it in, and you know what I mean? Like, this is so much easier, and that's really fun.
Yes, yeah, you'll totally get more that way. So anyway, I love Etsy, digital paper. Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah.
All right. So, so what would be your, did you have a couple more things to show us on the browser? Or do you want to kind of jam on what we've talked about?
No, I think let me just look at my sources and see if there's anything else I want to just point out.
Sure.
Etsy. No, I think I'm good, unless you have any specific questions that I didn't touch yet.
Nope. I think just to recap is what I was going to do. I'm going to, do you mind exiting your screen share?
Sure. Yeah. And
then we'll kind of wrap it up here. What I want to say is that, so a couple weeks back we did a legal one with Jennah Shingle, which you're aware of. You're in her group. Don't you love her?
I love her.
And she, so she touched on the trademarks and kind of staying within the legalities of your website and different stuff like that. And this is relevant on the legal side as well, but it's something that you surely can kind of monitor yourself. And that's why I think it's not only important to talk about, but B, it's it's something that really falls within the DIY wheelhouse.
Cost friendly. Yeah. Just look at the licenses. Just read it.
Yep.
If you're not sure, email the person.
Yes. And you know what? I always say, if you're, like you said, if you find something where, it's an Etsy shop and there's contact information, reach out to them. Or if you have a designer friend, there's two right here.
Exactly.
You can just email us. I'm so happy to answer a question and help people with what they need. And that's really how you get the most out of what you're doing graphically, legally, ethically, and making sure that everything is in place and where it needs to be for your business. So, and we're all here to help each other, kind of what we cultivate. And I know, Alyssa, you can agree with that. So yeah, that's what I would suggest.
Absolutely.
All right. Well, all right. So let's hear real quick your closing thoughts on this. And then, of course, where people can find you, because I'll be sharing this video and I believe you'll be sharing it too. And so we'll wrap up that way.
So my closing thoughts are, like I said, if you don't know, ask, whether it's the person who's writing the license and, has the font, or ask a designer, but always just read it. And, it's better, in my opinion, to be safe than sorry. Why use a graphic that's pretty and then get hit with a $5,000 suing charge or whatever in a year from now? Just read the licenses, be very careful, just make sure, use commercial use licenses. That's number one thing. Get your stuff from a source that's legitimate. And you guys can find me. My name's Alyssa, and my website is alyssajgavinsky.com. And I'm on Facebook, same name, Alyssa J. Gavinsky. I'm basically on Facebook all day long. Some people say, like, when do you sleep? And I'm like, I sleep sometimes. So hit me up anytime, either on my website or on Facebook, and I'd love to chat or help you out with a question. So I'm here anytime.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you for being here again. We really appreciate it. And you're a bank of knowledge that's just endless. We love it. So to that, I'm going to say my closing thought is, if you do want to use a photo that it's from a website, or maybe someone has it, you've seen it on Facebook, you're always going to want to credit them, kind of like a book title, credit them. It's, that line's kind of blurry. You should always have a license, but if you don't, credit.
Yeah.
That's what I would say. All right, guys. Well, again, I'm Jennah. If you don't know me, I own Blue Louie Studio, and you can find me at www.bluelouie.net, or I am on Facebook, and just shoot me an email, hellobluelouie@gmail.com.
Awesome. See you later, guys.
Yeah, have a good one.